up? How you doing? I'm doing great. What am I doing? I'm just eating some salmon with some onions. Mom cooked it up right. The onions is definitely a vibe. The salmon, if you never did it, please do it because it's definitely a vibe. Hope everyone's doing okay. I don't think anybody's watching, which is fine. I literally just posted it. I was gonna go live. So that's fine. That's cool. I had an interesting day today. That's neither here nor there. And I'm sorry I'm eating, but my mother said, "Come get this food," and I said, "Okay." I'm going to set on a healthy meal. Okay. But I hope you guys got something to eat. Hopefully you got something in your belly. Delicious. So you already see the title. So ADHD. Let's chat. All right. Let's turn on this music. That chewing was gonna get crazy. Okay. Yeah, so let's get into it. All right. Now that I'm actually here. What's going on, you guys? It's your girl, Chase Gazing. How you say it as long as that flavor stays in your mouth. Or you know me, it's your girl Candy. However you know me. I have my towel here all the time. It always block shit. However you know me, thank you for knowing me. I appreciate it very, very much. Now, I wanted this to be a recording. Like, I wanted this to be a, like, because I recorded this. I recorded me talking about this. But when I was talking about it, it was taking me for fucking ever to get through the story. And I'm sorry I'm digging my teeth, y'all. That scene was good. Okay? And the thing is, when it comes to like watching videos and stuff, like I told y'all, I have been on every social media known to man. Okay. Therefore, at this point in time in 2024, adults' attention spans are trash, and they don't want to watch something that they're not being entertained. They don't want to watch something that they don't feel like is very upbeat. They don't want to watch something that they don't feel like there's going to be some grand finale. They want to be entertained from beginning to end. Like they'll probably skip through some stuff. But they want to be entertained. They don't want to hear no stumbling. They don't want to hear no ease, oohs, ah, oohs, like. They don't want to hear none of that. Keep the story going. Let's keep it tight, keep it right, and make sure that we are keeping you entertained. And that's what I like to do. So when it came to the recording of the video, I feel like I just started dragging the story a little bit too long and whatever. And like I'm dragging it now because we're 4 minutes in and we still haven't talked about it. But let's talk about it now. Because I don't want to make this a very long live. I want to put this right up in the beginning so you don't have to watch the rest if you don't want to. So yes. So let's get into ADHD. Candace and me, ADHD. Now, I know that a lot of us, we laugh about, ADHD. We laugh and we joke about it. But a lot of people deal with that. And it is something that is not the greatest time, especially when you don't know what's going on with you. And it makes you feel kind of outcasted. So what I will say is, let's take it back to my childhood, right? Very short, very sweet story because it really matters more in the adulthood space. I have sucked at school all my life, okay? When it comes to testing, comes to memorizing things, anything like that, I have just been horrible at it. The way that I am as a learner is tangible. I am a tangible learner. That means like when there was in high school, when there would be notes on the board, I couldn't just look at the notes, memorize the notes, or remember seeing the notes. I'd had to write it down. If I wrote it down, it was ingrained in my brain a lot more than if I watched someone write it or if someone just talked to me about it. I had to involve myself in it. I had to engross myself into the subject tangibly, so that way I could basically just soak up as much knowledge as I possibly could. Now, that kind of worked when it came to history. All my history classes I did well in. I loved history, world history, US history. I love history. It fascinates me that the world has changed so much in so much little time. And some of it hasn't even changed that much, to be honest. So it's pretty cool to kind of have that thought process. But anyway, let's get back to the point here and not divert. So, like I said, ADHD, I just wasn't great. I just wasn't. I would always get notes on my report cards or, progress reports saying like, she's great, but she just needs to apply herself and all this other stuff. And I just didn't like doing my homework either. And it kind of works, right? If I'm in class and I'm not getting the greatest hold of information and I don't want to raise my hand and keep asking questions to be made fun of, or because I feel stupid because I don't get it and everybody else does, why would I then be able to take that and take it home and then do it and then turn it in, without feeling like I'm just kind of doing some half-ass shit. You feel me? So from, I don't even know when class started getting a little hard for me. I'm gonna say second grade was the first time I realized like I was having difficulties in school. And all the way throughout. When I got into a different school, I went from a public school to Catholic school, from Catholic school back to public school. That switch over back to public school, I should have never went to Catholic school. I feel like I would have excelled a wee bit better had I stayed in public school. But because I went to Catholic school and they really didn't give the greatest education, like at all. Like math was not even a thing for real. Like it was really just multiplication and that's it. Like we really didn't have like math, like that hardcore of math. Geography was like, what's a rock? What's 3 types of skies? Like stuff like that. So then when we got to, and this is stuff that people are paying for, like my parents are paying for this, right? So when I went to public school again in 8th grade, and these motherfuckers was breaking out with algebra and shit, I'm like, what the frank is going on here? I don't know none of this shit. Like, I felt so stupid. And I honestly think that me being in Catholic school from 3rd grade to 7th really dumbed me down. It dumbed me down like more than I already was. And I don't care what y'all say, I was really slow. But I think it exercised my brain the way that it should have. And because of that, I went into 8th grade and seeing what they were doing the first couple of classes, and I felt so, I just felt so unprepared. I felt so, I don't know, it just was embarrassing because I went from a school that I only had 2 classes to worry about. When you got to 5th grade, you started switching classes. Like from that school, from kindergarten to 4th grade, you stayed in one classroom with one teacher the entire time. When you got to 5th grade, I guess they were preparing you for high school, right? When you got to 5th grade, you switched teachers. So you would start off with one teacher for the day, and then you would go to your other teacher for the rest of the day. You would end your day there. So they switched stuff like that, right? But I went straight from that to 8th grade where I had 6 different teachers, 6 different classrooms. I'm like, bro, a locker? Like, this is just too much. This is too much for me, you know? So I had to get adjusted. But like I said, I didn't want to keep this part long. Um, I just even through high school, just when it came to test scoring, the MCAS, which is our state testing, it was just a lot for your girl. Like, I did so bad. I didn't know. I was just barely passing the portion of the math portion part of the MCAS, and it was either that I would take the MCAS again, or they decided to watch my math grade for the next year. So they watched my math grade. I got a B in math, so they allowed me to continue on in life. And yeah, so but college was really the turning point where I started noticing that I just like I got stuff that I could talk about. Like if I could, ooh, that was a big eyelash. If I could talk about stuff, I was golden. Great class. If I had to actually put in effort doing papers, I couldn't concentrate to sit down and do a paper for my life. Like if the class was the next day at 10 a.m., Candace was up at 5 a.m. writing a 5-page paper, single space, with APA formatting, styling, and everything. The procrastination was crazy. I couldn't concentrate. I wanted to do the work. I wanted to be involved in the class. I just couldn't like really give myself into it, you know? And it got so bad. Like I transferred from University of Bridgeport, Connecticut to Newberry College here in Mass. And it just was so bad throughout college that I just was doing whatever I could to get by the skin of my teeth. Like if I could just get a D, that's fine. That was passing to get to the next class. I didn't care. If I could get a C minus, I didn't care. It was getting me so I could get my prerequisite done so I could get to the next class. That's so I graduated college with a very low GPA. A very low GPA. It wasn't a 1. But damn near, I think that shit like a 2.4 or something like that. Like bitches was barely, you know. I just wanted to get out. I wanted to get out of college. I did an extra year because my credits didn't transfer over. So therefore, I needed to get out. I was over it. I was done. I was done with it. So now we're getting into adulthood and working like full time. Like I worked full time while in college over the summers and stuff, but now actually looking for work in my field and my career and everything like that. And once again, there would be things that, you know, I would get these jobs and they would explain it to me and I just couldn't get it. I didn't know what the hell they're talking about. A cash register, baby, go find somebody else. I was so nervous about counting money and giving money back. And what if somebody gave me an extra 50 cents after I already done rung the telly? Like, what am I going to do? I just couldn't get it. Like any job that I had, I kind of had to like fake it till I made it. Like I had to really process how to just do stuff in my own way, which later on I find out was my coping mechanisms with having ADHD, untreated ADHD. And then when it came to I had to use my charm. I had to use my charm a lot. A lot. My personality is what gets me by. And I am very blessed to have that personality. I thank God for it. Because if I didn't have the personality I have right now, I would not be as far as I am. It's my connections, it's how I conduct myself with people, it's how people react to me when I'm with them that has gotten me thus far. Because when I look back at situations, if it was my personality, I wouldn't have gotten certain jobs. I wouldn't have gotten certain interviews, certain things. It just would be all trash. But fast forward to, this is where 15 minutes in. God dang, Candace, we talk. So last year, 2023, at this point, I had been in therapy since 2021. And, you know, TikTok. Okay, why they're trying to ban TikTok is beyond me, G, because there are so many companies in America that got our information and could sell it into the dark web in a matter of a second. But whatever. I know that there are some things that do come up that could be fads, phases, that like, like, I'm this, I'm that. Like, if you see something, basically, if you see something enough, right, you start to believe that it has something to do with you, or it could be someone in your family, or whatever the case may be. If you see it enough, you start believing it, right? So I kept seeing this thing with women undiagnosed ADHD, or talking about kids ADHD or whatever. And like, it just always intrigued me. Like when people don't know that someone has ADHD or what's going on with their ADD or, whatever. So I just didn't understand like the premise of it, like how does the person go undiagnosed and I used to be the person that was very much like, okay, just because a child jumps around or is really excited or, has a lot of flavor in their life does not mean that they have ADHD. That does not mean that. Okay. I've always been that. It doesn't mean that they are autistic. It doesn't mean they have Asperger's. It doesn't mean, autism spectrum disorder. It doesn't mean that they have this. It doesn't mean they have that. Like, it doesn't mean that all the time. Maybe they're just a really excited kid. And that's what I put in myself. I was just a really excited kid. I was an excited kid about life. So last year, I just kept seeing it. And I said, you know what? I need to take care of me, and I need to take care of my life, and I need to take control of my life, and I need to know. I need to know. So I talked to my therapist, and I talked to my doctor, my PCP, and I was referred, and I got set up with the appointment over the summer. Now, my first conversation happened around my birthday. And then my second one happened around my dad's death anniversary. So it was like middle of July, end of July. And I went to this facility in Brookline, Massachusetts. And the first conversation was tele. So we did it virtually. And she just said, like, how were you as a kid? How were you with your studies? How were you when no one was looking? Like, how were you with your siblings? How were you with your parents? She's asking very intricate questions because she wants to know. She needs to know all the information she can. There was a point during our virtual conversation where she had asked about my behavior in school. And, I said that my teachers would always say that I was always talking, I was always looking, I was always doing something I wasn't supposed to do. Now, I'll admit when I'm like, when I know I'm in the wrong, I know I'm in the wrong. But majority of the time, I wasn't talking. Majority of the time, it's someone getting my attention. I turn around, the teacher turns around at that same time. And if something's happening, I'm looking out the window, I'm not paying attention, or, whatever the case may have you. Or I have to say something about something. Like, I have to make a point to say something. Like, I gotta make sure you got my attention when I say it. At this moment, I talked about this blue book. And this blue book that I had, I didn't have. In second grade, my teachers thought I was just so problematic as a child that they needed to keep my mother up to date with every single little thing I did wrong. It makes me emotional talking about it because no child should have to go through this. But every single little thing that I did wrong in class, it was this blue, soft Tiffany baby blue booklet with the school's emblem on it, I believe. and everything I did wrong. Everything I did wrong. It was rare that they would just put, "Candace had a good day," or "Candace was okay today." They would put everything I did wrong. If I moved out my seat too much, if I talked out of turn, if I wasn't listening that well. I mean, everything, every day in this fucking book. And they wouldn't give the book to me. They would ensure that the book got to my brother. Because he was in school with me. He's older than me. He's 4 years older than me. And then we would have after school program, or we'd get on the bus and go home. And then my mother would have the booklet. I would just get my ass beat. I would just get my ass beat. Instead of there being some other viewpoint or some other acknowledgement, or something's going on, or maybe she thinks differently, maybe something, whatever, it was just that product being a Black kid. And that happened to me throughout school. And you would have thought at some point someone would say, "Hey, there's a trend here. Let's look at it." The trend was just Candace just don't listen, and she don't do what she's supposed to do when I tell her to do it. So that's the trend. Many a times in the Catholic school, especially, I had to go sit in other teachers' rooms because it was made to embarrass you. Candace, go downstairs to Sister Susan's room. Sister Susan was it was a first grade teacher. So you had to go sit downstairs in Sister Susan's room in the back with first graders looking dead at you the whole time. And they would always say some remark. You don't want to be bad like Candace back there. You don't want to be blah, blah, blah like Candace back there. There would always be some snarky ass remark like that. Or they would make you, once again, this is to embarrass you. They would send you to another classroom. And I don't know why the fuck they did this. They would send you to other people's classrooms and make you stand in the corner of other people's classrooms. It was mentally abusive, and no one's gonna tell me different. It's bad enough, okay, cool, I get in trouble in my class, I can't go out to recess, I can't do this stuff, but to make me look and stand in the corner of a room facing the wall, and I'm in people's grades higher than me and all this other stuff, that's embarrassing. Just because I'm not doing what you want me to do right when you want me to do it, because it's not what I can control, But besides all that, 23, I wanted to just know, because I had it, and I think because in 23 I had more TikTok friends than I had before. I had gained a lot more TikTok friends that I actually talk to. I spoke to them and stuff like that online and left comments and joined lives and stuff. And I had a couple of TikTok friends that I thought were real cool, and then they kind of just dissed me to the side. And I will tell you, there's a certain type of hurt with people, and if you don't like a person, you don't even gotta tell them. Just make sure you show that you don't like them. That person will get the hint. Sometimes people don't. They're not good at social cues. But just give the energy that you don't. The fake nice nasty that some people do, and I know it because I've done it, But the fake nice nasty, if I don't like a person, I don't give them all that energy. I don't give them too much energy. It's very cordial energy. Just because you're friends with other people on here, I'm not going to be rude to you. But I found people had been talking about me, that there's been other discussions about me, that people don't like my face. It was just a whole bunch of shit, that prior that kind of made me feel distant from certain people that I met off TikTok, and that's fine. They're still cool. I'm still cool with them. It's just we're not like we used to be. And that's just based off my own merit too. So, but 23, I started talking to more people from TikTok online and on the phone and stuff, and I just started noticing a pattern with what they would say, like how I would get distracted, how I would act when I was driving, how I would talk on the phone, like it'd be like kind of like shiny penny, then get back to the conversation like nothing happened. And what a lot of people don't realize, like, yeah, it was funny, but it was truly hurting my feelings because I was trying so hard not to do it because it started becoming like a joke. It started becoming like oh, we all know Candace. Like, I remember there was a live and everybody's joking, laughing, and they're like, "Oh man, have you ever had Candace on the phone, man? Like, that girl just gets so distracted so quick, like off of something, goes right back into the conversation, like nothing happened or whatever." And they didn't know at that time I was really battling myself if I really wanted to get tested for ADHD or ADD. I was really having a hard time because I didn't want something to be wrong with me, and nobody wants something to be wrong with them. But then I was like, but there's something has to be, or I'm just fucking stupid. I have to be fucking plain dumbass stupid because there's no way humanly possible. Everyone else I know is so intelligent and so smart in so many different departments in their life. But for me, it's like I'm in the basement with a light bulb, that string that's just swinging by, and I'm just lost like a bitch. I can only see a glimpse at a time clearly. Other than that, I'm in the dark. Where other people got fully furnished light houses, and I'm just downstairs figuring it out. You feel me? And once I started seeing that they started picking up on it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's about time. It's about time. And I think another thing that happened was my really close friend had told me, as an example, that she came to me about something that she doesn't open up much about stuff, but she came to me about something, and instead of me talking about what was happening with her, I did, but I matched it with something I just saw on the news, or I would match it with something that happened to me. And I heard that typically sometimes that's what they do, because I truly can't understand what you're talking about. I have to take a situation from my life and input myself in the situation so I can have full understanding of what you're going through. Because other than that, I'm just gonna be like, okay, what's the big deal? So I have to insert myself in that to understand. So when I was, like, once again, going back to what I said, I had this virtual conversation with her. And so she's like, okay, next thing that we got to do is send, oh, hey, me. She's like, they're like, next thing we got to do is we have to have your mom fill out a packet. And in this packet was going to be the age between, I think it was like between like 5 or 6 through high school. So my mother had to remember how I was, how I acted, my behavior, my mental state, and everything for like 10 something years. Now, my mother was not very gung-ho about me going to get tested to see if I have ADHD, because her, like many other older Black adults, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just who you are, blah, blah, blah. And her equating ADHD to intelligence. My baby's no dummy. She's very smart. And I had to keep saying, ADHD has nothing to do with intelligence. It's your wiring of your brain. It has nothing to do with intelligence. It's the wiring of your brain. Okay? Well, she got the packet. I gave it to her and I said, hey, I just need you to go over all these questions. They're like 1, not so much, 5, like, all the time. Questions, like what was their, did they move around when they were younger? Did they talk too much? Their behavior in school, Were they good in school? Like just little things, you know? And some of the questions I could have answered that myself, not even based off of now me. Like I'm talking about like 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old me. I could answer those questions easily. But as she's going through them, she's getting so worked up. Like she's getting so upset. She's like, "Oh, did she move around a lot? Yes, she moved around a lot. She was a child, too." And I'm like, "That is, you know, that's not what they mean, you know?" And I'm like, "Ma, you have to." So I said, "Okay, could you do it for 8 years? Let's do it from 8 years old to 16." She's like, "Well, that's not fair because that's when your father died and your whole personality could have changed and da 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 da." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, it could have. But can we just try to give it like some period of time? 8 years? You can't give me 8 years of memories right now?" And she was getting so worked up. Like, "My baby's no dummy. She not dumb. Nothing's wrong with her." So she was almost purposely putting the wrong information. Like, instead of giving something like a 4, Shorty was putting a 2. Instead of giving something a 3, she was giving it a 1. Like, she wasn't being truthful in her inclination of, like, who I was at the time, how I acted, what was my behavior, what was my mental state, how did I test? Like, she just wasn't being truthful because she didn't want the test to come out that something was wrong with me. And honestly, that is just generational. It's in our body, okay? And I don't care what nobody says, it's generational, it's in our body. Slaves did not want anybody to see that there was anything wrong with their children, okay? But they also didn't want to overachieve their children. So why you see a lot of Black parents go, "Oh yeah, they did. I'm so proud of them. They did so well." But you know, she talks back to people, you know? It's like they downplay their kids because they didn't want them to look too good for somebody to snatch up or master to sell. It happens, okay? Anyway, I got the packet, sent it off, and when I got there, I told them, "Listen, whatever was in that packet that my mother filled out, please ensure that what I say is true, because I think she was trying to downplay me, so that way it didn't seem like something was wrong with me." But in the packet, they asked the same question like 4 or 5 different times, so that way they can kinda gather like a median number for me. So I got there, um, they were really nice. They made me like they would say certain words to me and then have me memorize it forward and backwards to them. Um, I had to remember certain pictures. I had to remember like a certain list that had things on it. I had to do like, you know, one of those baby ring thingies that you kind of like stack and whatever. I had to stack them in certain like positions and structures and stuff. I had to recognize pictures. I did a whole lot of things. Now, one I did fall asleep on was this computer thing because you had to click the button every time it beeped, and I ended up falling asleep midway through it. And I think I was just auto beeping or whatever. And I think it lasted like an hour and a half. It took 2 weeks for the test results to come in. I didn't know they came in yet, but in September, I sat down with the doctor. It was a virtual call, and she's like, "Yeah, you have ADHD." She's like high functioning ADHD. So she said that I basically learned how to cope throughout my life to be able to function the way that I do. So she's like, because you were undiagnosed, because when I looked at you, you kind of learned how to cope. So I don't believe you need medication because you obviously know how to work through it because obviously you've been existing this long. So she's like, if anything, I will give you a recommendation for books for you to look at and understand how to structure your mind, practice it. She's like, you're seeing a therapist, so that's already good. They'll help you in that department. But there was also a diagnosis for unspecified anxiety. Now, I don't know where that part came from because I was like, I thought you hoes was just looking at my brain, not my mental health. Okay. But that wasn't surprising. I do have anxiety, but I don't have anxiety to the point that I have these episodes where I almost feel like I'm fainting. My heart is racing. My heart races for different reasons. but I don't have anxiety where, whatever, but I do get anxious quietly. I very quietly get anxious, okay? So when they say unspecified anxiety, it's because there's really no pinpoint to it. Like, it just comes when it comes. Like, I get anxious when I'm driving and I see a car speeding behind me, but I feel like that's anybody, right? But in my mind, that car done flipped my car over 3 or 4 times, and then I got T-boned by an 18-wheeler. The stories get crazy, you know? If I hear a whistle in the wind, if I hear, like, I just get super anxious. I'm very hyper focused and very hyper, I'm alert. I'm overly alert to stuff. Sometimes it's too annoying. It could cause for great safety in my life, like, obviously. Like, I am more than sure, especially in college, there was a couple of nights where my dumb behind was walking home at 3:00 something in the morning, walking dorm to dorm, and them dorms were not next to each other. They were like a 4-block walk, 4 to 5 blocks of me walking at 3 something in the morning by myself. Yeah. We weren't the smartest, but we are here. Praise the Lord. Hello. Okay. Amen. My EK. But for those who have fast forwarded to this part of the story, finding out was a relief. I could put a name to it. I could touch it. I could look it up. I could figure it out. There was things that I could now have tangible to me that I couldn't before. Now it's not, I have ADHD. It's like, no, I have ADHD, you know? I also found out you can get accommodations at work if you have ADHD. If you need things processed to you or given to you in a certain type of way, you can have an accommodation given to you if you have ADHD. I think a lot of people don't know that unless they were given it as a child. Unless you had an IEP. What is it? An IEP? IEP? I think it's like an IEP or something like that. When you have an individual evaluation, like practice or something like that is called. So that way you can get your work done, but get it done the way you need to get it done. You know what I'm saying? So unless you know that from a child, you don't know that you can do that as an adult, have like some type of specific way that work gets handed to you or the way that you process stuff in a meeting and everything. I said, this is fucking amazing. You know, when the last job that I worked, my coworker, she was a senior HR generalist, when we would have these meetings, when it came to labor relations and employee relations, yeah, of course, you would take notes down so that way you can kind of refer to them. But she would say, for my accommodation, I need to record these calls. When I tell you that shit helped so much for me too, because we had talked about it because she had ADHD, I have ADHD. It helped a lot because I would be just writing down the notes and stuff, and I feel like I missed something. And for me, when I miss something, you know how when you're typing on a keyboard and you mess up a word or you mess up a letter, I don't go back to that word. I could be like 6 words into that sentence. I don't go back and put my cursor on that word and fix it. I delete the whole sentence and I start it over. So imagine you're trying to keep up in a employee relation conversation, and they're talking about like a really heated racial moment, and you're trying to get the notes down, and you're missing stuff because your brain is like, go back and fix it, go back and fix it, don't leave it, go back and fix it, go back and fix it. And you go back, and by that time, you missed a very important part that could be helpful and be pivotal in how the case turns. Like who's getting fired, who's not, who's getting disciplined, who's not. So recording and having it transcribed definitely was a big help because not only a person couldn't say, "Oh, I didn't say that." It's like, girl, that transcribe picked up your name from your box, which you saying it. Yes, you did, bitch. Don't say that you didn't say that shit in the meeting. But also because I can go back to it and be like, "Oh, actually, they didn't say that. This person said it. Bad, whatever." So it definitely has helped. In the long run, it definitely has helped. It has made me get more sleep because beforehand I was not sleeping like that. I was going to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning, waking up at 6, maybe sometimes 7, and going back to sleep for another like half hour to an hour, waking up at 9. It was just bad. So now I try my best to be in bed before 1, at least. And I know that's late to some of y'all, but I do try to lay down and have my bones rest, my muscles relax. By the time it's like 12:30 on a weekday, I try to be in bed by that time. And I could be on live and I could be talking and stuff like that, but my body is relaxing. It's starting to come down. The jitters of the day are starting to relax. And then I just put on my thunder sounds. And I just have the thunder and the rain playing, and your girl with at least half an hour to an hour. If I don't just sit there and play on my phone, I'm out. And it says that it helps. It helps with your brain when you sleep more. Now, I will say the disappointing thing about being diagnosed and finally having something, it being played in my face, because now that it's there, the one person you wouldn't want to downplay it downplays it. And will say, "Well, maybe I have ADHD because I be doing this and the third. Well, maybe this person has ADHD. Well, maybe all my kids got ADHD. Well, blah, 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 ADHD." It's not about them. It's not about you. It's about me. It's how I am. And also, when people recall you or who you were in the past, especially as a child when you couldn't help but who you are, and you were deemed and tokened as annoying and bothersome and bad because I just existed, that sucks. And now I'm not very quiet about it anymore. I'm like, okay, great. Talk about how bad I was as a person, as a child. Because you don't understand, people sometimes never let go of that little kid inside of them. They never let go of they call it their inner child, right? Your childhood self. They don't let that go because sometimes it's broken. So that's why when people will say, "I'm proud of you," or "You did really good at this. Like, this is so awesome." It makes the adult me be like, "Oh, look at that. They see me. They see what the fuck I did that shit, pure." You know what I'm saying? But the child inside me is like, "I really did. I did a really good job. Like, thank you for being proud of me. Thank you for saying that instead of having you do everything wrong, you're always doing something bad, you're never listening." That's all I got. So it's nice when I hear people say that, so I don't take it very lightly, But yeah. I don't know if I'll ever get on pills. I definitely don't want to because I've seen a video, a Black woman it's always good to see you represented somewhere. I seen a Black woman track her day after being diagnosed with ADHD and taking medication. She took it one day and she tracked how she worked, how she functioned, how she felt the entire time. And she said that she could feel herself becoming more taskful, not getting distracted with her phone, not getting distracted with this, like actually working. She said, but she did feel a little lull, like a little out of her own body. Like, she felt that relaxed that she didn't, like, her mind wasn't racing the whole entire time. Like, it was quiet. And she said that was different. But then she could also start feeling when it was wearing off, because that hectic panic, gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta do this, gotta do that, started coming back in. Now, for me, I don't know. This is why I don't even smoke weed anymore. A lot of people don't understand why I don't smoke weed. So I used to smoke weed. I'm gonna say I was no pothead, but I definitely was smoking some gum. Okay. It feels good. I'm not gonna lie, it does. It scares me more than anything, and I'm not saying scared like boogly boogly bitch. I mean, like, scared like, what if something was to happen to me while I'm in this state and I can't even recognize it? What if some emergency happens and I can't get to, or I can't spring into action because I'm in this state? More importantly, before I ever had heart problems, I'd always get this really, really heavy chest pain when I was high. Like, it would sit in my chest and it would sit in my face, but more my chest. And it would feel like I had like a fucking 50-pound baby on my chest. Like, it would always make me feel so like heavy, and I didn't know why. It was funny. I cracked up. I ate like a motherfucker. It was a good experience. It was dope, but I always felt so like gone. And I did not like feeling out of my control. Like, I felt like as soon as I would feel high, I would almost want it to be done. Like, I would want to enjoy it, but I almost wanted to not be it anymore, because it just made me feel so out of my brain. Like, I can't even explain it. Like, it made me feel off. And that's why I just always ended up going to sleep, because I'm like, if I go to sleep, I can wake up and it's done. You know, with drinking, I control how much I drink. I can get tipsy, and tipsy is a good place for me, or a good buzz, because I'm like, I'm chilling, but I feel good. I'm chilling, but I feel good. Like, I don't feel completely out of my element. The times that I have been drunk, oh, I hated it. I wanted it to be over right then and there so bad, because I didn't like being out of my head. Like, I didn't like feeling out of control. And that's what it is. I just don't like that feeling. So that's why I don't smoke weed. I'll do a CBD, because that's like more for relaxing, and you feel more like, I just want to go to sleep. But even that kind of is a little shaky. But that's just the best. But I haven't got any books to like look into it more, to dive deeper into it, to see how a adult functions with ADHD or this and the third. So maybe we'll get into that, maybe we won't, but I am trying my hardest to keep certain things in order. Now, I will say that I was keeping my room. My room was my biggest one, because I just stay in here all the time, so it gets junky fast. And I was doing good for like 3 months, and then I went on vacation. I came back and I was just like, fuck it. But I need to like dedicate a day, because it's not bad. I just really need to pick shit up and fold shit and put shit away. But I really need to concentrate on that. But yeah, where we at? 9:49? Yeah, I can shut the fuck up now. But yeah, that is my ADHD story. I really do hope I went through everything. I really, really do hope I did. Love and appreciate whoever came and joined and watched for a few minutes, or whatever. I appreciate you. Make sure you give this this channel or this video a like. Once again, I will be going through some personal changes on this page, because I didn't want to make it just relationship at all. I want this to be a place. I want this to be a good token of just me. The ban of TikTok, Biden might sign that shit, and then we got 9 to 12 months so fucking stupid, but whatever. Hopefully by then somebody will actually get an app going for us that we can just move to. But you know how many apps that have been going on that we've been trying to move to and nobody still follows us? People on TikTok are like the dumbest people ever, bro. Like I love my followers and stuff like that. But even when I had my first page, I told them, y'all, I might not have this page because it seems like it's gonna get banned. Follow me everywhere. And they really didn't pay attention. So when I lost my page and I got this, they're like, oh my gosh, where have you been? I lost you. Da, da, da. And I'm like, I told you to follow me other places so you could know. And guess what? These people still ain't following other people everywhere. You're gonna wake up one day and you're gonna lose all your followers. And trust me, I love the people that I follow. Love them, love their creativity and all this other stuff. So you're gonna lose them, and that's it. So I foresee a surplus of YouTube channels coming. I see that definitely. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great one. Love, skeet, peace, and cheese. And I'll see you guys later.